Ancient Greece's largest city-state, Athens, once initiated the Assembly of Citizens, where over 6,000 citizens brought their stools to participate in decision-making on major state affairs. How did they decide? Mostly by shouting. This form of governance, where everyone sits down to discuss, is called direct democracy. Of course, organizing such assemblies was cumbersome, so they also established a Council of 500 to handle administrative matters. The idea of all citizens gathering to deliberate can be seen as rule by the people. The term democracy in Western languages, written as demo plus krasi, originates from this concept. However, it's important to note that at that time, only adult males in Athens were considered citizens and could participate in these assemblies. Women, slaves, and people of mixed heritage were not included in this definition of citizen. The questioning of the Greek model of democracy has never ceased. Imagine if all the people were to gather together to discuss whether to divide Wang Tzu-tong's estate and harem. Would you support that? Historically, Athenians even sentenced the philosopher Socrates to death by vote. The concern of the majority are often self-centered, which can easily lead to being swayed by passions and superstitions. Moreover, direct democracy is feasible only with a small population. How could a country with 1.3 billion people sit down for such meetings? Furthermore, state governance functions have become more specialized and complex. For example, what about supply-side reforms? If people don't understand this concept, how can they make informed decisions? Thus, another form of democracy emerged: representative democracy. Simply put, there's no need for the whole village to come to every meeting. Just select one or two educated and assertive representatives who can safeguard your interests. Everyone agreed that this was a good approach. Since the revolutions in the United Kingdom, the United States, and France from the 17th to the 19th century, the development and refinement of representative democracy has become the prevailing trend in modern democratic systems. Now that we understand the principles, should we pursue democracy? Of course we should. How exactly? Don't worry, my friend, I'll teach you. The operational mechanism of modern democracy consists of three aspects: the electoral system, the party system, and the political structure. The electoral system concerns how people's representatives are chosen. This involves three key aspects: who can vote, where to vote, and how to vote. Who can vote? This pertains to voting rights, which are not inherently granted. For example, initially both British and American laws imposed property-based restrictions on voting rights, making elections a privilege of the wealthy. In the United States, it wasn't until 1920 that white women obtained the right to vote, and the voting rights for black people and other minorities only followed after the 1965 Civil Rights Act. The principle of all men are created equal is often proclaimed, but its implementation has been a long and arduous process. In contrast, the electoral law of the People's Republic of China stipulated from the very beginning that all Chinese citizens over the age of 18 have the right to vote and be elected. This approach must be acknowledged for its straightforwardness, simply put, genuinely practical. Where to vote refers to the division of electoral districts. Electoral districts are the basic units for conducting elections and can be divided based on geography, population, or professional groups and sectors. In the United States, House of Representatives elections are based on population, with one representative for every 500,000 people. Don't underestimate the importance of district division. It can significantly impact election results. For instance, when there is a need to redraw districts due to changes in population distribution, how to divide them in a way that favors one's own party can be quite strategic, sometimes even leading to bizarrely shaped districts. There's a term for this in English called gerrymandering. Students who haven't passed their CET4 exams, go look it up quickly. In China, electoral districts are divided according to principles that favor work and life, facilitate voter participation, and enable voters to understand and oversee candidates. As for how to vote, certainly we can't emulate the Athenian and see who can shout the loudest. Let's talk about voting. The first method of voting is the majority system, a simple majority where obtaining over 50% of the votes is necessary for victory, or a relative majority, where the candidate with the highest number of votes among the competitors wins. However, in both cases, it's a winner-takes-all situation. The second method is the proportional representation system, where party representation and seats are allocated based on the proportion of votes received by each party. The third method is a mixed system, combining elements of both the majority and proportional systems. China's electoral system employs the majority system principle. The second aspect of the democratic mechanism is the party system, whose role is to manage elections and organize the government. In many Western countries, political parties primarily engage in election campaigns, with democracy taking the form of electing leaders. This domain involves various strategies. For example, in American elections, the well-known 3P strategy requires significant financial resources to implement. Hence, this type of election is often referred to as a form of money-driven democracy. The multi-party system of competitive elections creates an illusion. it appears as if one can choose the preferred party, and if the current party underperforms, simply vote for another in the next election. Ma Ying-jeou campaigned with the slogan, "Ma Shanghao." Ma will turn things around the right way. Then, after 8 years, the cycle repeats. In China, the party system operates under the leadership of the Communist Party of China with the cooperation of various political parties. This system aims to avoid merely formalistic, bustling election campaigns, focusing instead on substantive political consultation and the integration of opinions. The third aspect of the democratic mechanism is the political structure, which involves the relationship between the state power organs elected by the people and other state organs. Various models exist in this realm. In a parliamentary system, voters elect the parliament, which in turn appoints the prime minister, who then forms the government. In a presidential system, voters elect the president, who forms the government. Under the parliamentary system, both legislative and executive powers are vested in the parliament, whereas in the presidential system, the legislative, executive, and judicial powers are separate. France, uniquely, blends the parliamentary and presidential systems, creating a new approach. In China, the People's Congress system is implemented, where the People's Congress is an organ of state power and the National People's Congress, NPC, is the supreme organ of state power. A reminder to our readers: democracy is ultimately a means, not an end. It should be measured by its ability to foster good governance and the well-being of people. Therefore, assessing whether a system is democratic or not fundamentally depends on whether it enhances citizens' involvement in decision-making, especially in terms of the government's responsiveness and substantive actions after the public has expressed its will. Therefore, democracy should not be narrowly equated with electoral forms, especially not confined to a specific model, such as the competitive multi-party elections prevalent in Western countries. In fact, most countries that have adopted Western-style democracy are, well, not in great shape. You can check for yourself. In conclusion, China's socialist democratic system is still adapting and improving according to local conditions, undergoing various democratic experiments at different levels and with diverse implications. Public hearings, online opinion solicitations, representative proposals, public complaints, media oversight, petitioning, direct village committee elections, and so on are all diverse forms of democracy. Ensuring that public opinion is heard and improving Chinese-style democracy demand numerous efforts be made.